So Star Wars Celebration just wrapped this past weekend, and we're joined by the What Culture main channel's own Alex Ledbeater to talk about it.
All right, yeah, I was at Celebration all weekend. It was a great weekend.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a hell of a lot of new games that they've been showing off.
Yeah.
Mainly, it seems like Star Wars Battlefront got a single-player campaign that we're going to get into in a bit. There's Star Wars VR, and there's also the new Visceral game, which still doesn't have a name.
Nope, nothing at all.
It sounds cool.
They didn't say much about that, but we'll get to that in a minute.
We will. So we're going to break down the main 3 games that we came away talking about, starting with Star Wars VR, then we'll get onto Visceral, and then eventually we'll get onto Battlefront. So, Star Wars VR, you tried it, you played it, apparently it's a huge deal, and you deflected some lightsabers.
Yeah.
Or some blaster bolts or something.
Yeah, it's amazing. ILM have set up this whole new subsidiary called X-Lab, and they're just seeing what they can do with VR in the Star Wars universe. The first one they've released is Trials on Tatooine, which is the one I got to try out, and it's amazing. You get the Falcon come down, you do a bit of work on the Falcon, and then you get a lightsaber. You get to wield a lightsaber, and it's like childhood dreams coming true.
So do you start with a saber and then...
No, you start just on Tatooine, and then the Falcon comes down, you do a bit of exchanging with Han.
So let's just clarify, it seems like it's more of a tech demo than like a full thing.
Absolutely. It's 5 minutes long. It's it's basically, if you've got your VR headset, you can buy this now and you can experience it, but it's definitely not a full game or anything.
Also, it's on Vive right now?
Yes, on Vive.
Not on Oculus Rift, and maybe coming to PSVR, we don't know.
To my knowledge, that's it. But
right, so Vive owners can get it right now.
Yeah. It's the promise of what's to come. Like, when you're wielding that lightsaber, you only have it for about 2-3 minutes, but it's the best 2 or 3 minutes ever.
What colour is it?
It's blue.
Good.
And there's no choice. You get it out of R2's head like in Return of the Jedi, which is awesome.
Nice.
The blaster bolts come at you in slow motion because you have the Force. And the first one you block, the feedback is phenomenal. Like, the feedback in the whole thing is amazing.
That's cool.
You reach out to push buttons on the Falcon, and it makes you stop moving. Instead of...
you can feel like you're in there.
You feel like you're interacting with the world. And the saber and the interaction, and then you stop... Send the bolts back, just phenomenal.
Because that's been the thing with VR, is always like, how controllable is it? And it seems like you sort of play this tech demo, you're kind of bolted to a certain space, like facing off against the waves of stormtroopers or whatever, and you're blocking bolts and stuff.
Basically, I mean, it's like a half and half experience. The first half is just getting you used to VR, and it's almost like a sort of POV movie.
The only skepticism I have is it sounds cool. 5 minutes long is a bit of a worry, but whatever.
Tech demo, man. Tech demo.
Tech demo, but it reminds me of Star Wars Connect, and they were just like, come on, you can wield white lightsabers, and you can do all this stuff, and everyone's like, cool, but then that's kind of it.
Well,
maybe that's all you need.
This is all it is for what it is for now. Like, it's like a taster. They've got another one coming out. They're doing a Darth Vader one. I don't know whether you'll play as Darth Vader or you'll fight him, but
I
they've got that coming.
Him, I think.
Which should be really cool.
The helmet coming down, force choke.
It's the future.
Everything.
I'm fairly certain this is the future.
So that's Star Wars VR. And the next thing that you saw, which hardly anybody knows anything about, is Visceral Star Wars game.
Yeah, the secret game.
Now, a little bit of background on Visceral. Amy Hennig, who used to head up the Uncharted series, moved over to Visceral, and she's been heading up the project. The team itself tweeted out a whole bunch of cryptic-looking images, like Han Solo stuff and Chewie We're Home and all that kind of thing. And everyone thought, oh, it's going to be a Han Solo game. But it turns out it's not. It turns out it's like a unique... new sort of character, new world.
Yeah, it's new world. I mean, the big story thing that they sort of focused on was that this isn't an ensemble thing like, the movies always have a wide range of characters. It's about a single character following their journey, which sounds quite similar to Uncharted.
Yeah, I mean,
and she made a big point, actually. She said it was a similar process to Uncharted. She compared it to Uncharted. So I think that's the sort of game we're getting, a sort of third-person action-adventure game. And the concept art that they revealed chimes in with that.
As you can see on the photo, it seems like there's some sort of free running element to it, or some sort of way more platforming. And we saw a little bit of that in Star Wars 1313 with the character jumping from ship to ship.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like they've just taken the nuts and bolts of that and transported it across. Which, if you're just making Uncharted in space with the Star Wars license, yeah, done. Brilliant.
They did make a big point about how that little clip is so full of Easter eggs. And little clues. So I think when it comes out, we'll look back at that and go, oh, it was all...
You can actually check the description of the video because we've already picked that apart. It seems like there's a few little bits and Easter eggs and stuff, and it's always good to speculate on those things. The big one, though, EA's finally added a single-player mode to Star Wars Battlefront, but it doesn't seem like they actually have, really.
Right, yeah. It's called Skirmish. It's been touted by the press as a single-player offline mode, and what it is that, but it's not instant action, it's not galactic conquest, and it's not a campaign.
We already heard that EA had some plans for a single-player campaign that were ditched to make it so they could release the game alongside The Force Awakens. So is that what they've gone back and put back in?
No, he really skirted around that question.
Nice.
But what it is Walker Assault and the flying battles offline. And it's actually a recreation of being online. They've given gamer tags to the other NPCs,
oh, God.
and it feels playing it exactly like you're online. There's no real difference.
Oh, see, that's not what... I mean, I didn't want that. I mean, you guys can let us know in the comments, but that's not at all what I wanted from a single-player experience of Battlefront.
I'm not an online gamer, so I've not really played much of Battlefront Online, only a little bit, but I don't know who it's for. I really don't get who this is for, because if you play it online and enjoy it online, you can play it online and you can get a better experience, because obviously when you're the only player, you're going to dominate even on a harder difficulty. And if you like single player and don't like online, you're not going to want the experience of online, this sort of deathmatch.
It's sort of like they dodged the question. They sort of, everyone said, where's the single player? You've got all this fantastic tech, you've scanned all these objects in, it looks brilliant. Where's the cutscenes? Where's the characters? Where's the voiceovers? Where's the voice acting? And they've not done it. They've just said, well, now it's offline version of what you had. That's not a single player campaign.
Well, I actually got to sit down with the developer and talk about this and talk about how they've done it. And, they've been very open. This is in reaction to all that backlash. They have made this mode available because they want people to be able to play it offline, because that's what they've heard the fans say. The problem is that it's happened in such a short space of time, they've not been able to make anything that's really substantially different. I imagine they will eventually introduce something, maybe even in Battlefront 2.
Maybe eventually. I mean,
because of the reaction to this, but I think this is meant to, sort of satiate people a bit, make them calm down.
We're getting yearly Battlefront releases from now on until probably the end of time if EA and Star Wars are going to be, bedfellows for a while. Yep. So, with that in mind, like you're saying, they've added a few new things. Like as a taking the cynical devil's advocate kind of view or whatever, seems like all they've done is spruced up the AI. It's the same maps, same gameplay. They've added AI bots as in replacement of players. Okay.
It's fun. That's literally all I can say. No, it's pretty much that. It's fun, it's enjoyable, but it is a bit empty, like the game itself.
Well, that's my thing. I mean, I loved when I first played Half Online, but I played the beta and I did the Walker, so I was like, that's absolutely brilliant. And I was like, what else have you got? And that was it.
Yeah.
So if they've still not got much else.
First thing I played was the Hearth Wall Crystal, and it's exactly the same. The only thing is that you're always going to be the hero. You're always going to get to fly. You get much more choice, but it's not really a new experience.
True.
It is free though. It's a free download, so if you've got Battlefront, you'll get it, and you can try it out, and not have to play online. That's the big thumbs up of it.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, the bottom line, you can at least play the best of Battlefront offline now, so you don't need to worry about screaming teenagers or anything else.
That's the real advantage, and I just don't know how big a demographic that is. I don't think
it's everyone. It's the reason. Yeah,
but the people who would choose to play like an online style game without the screaming teenagers. That's a small.
That's true.
I'll just play a narrative game like the Visceral game when it comes out.
When it eventually comes out, yeah.
Or VR. I'm just gonna get a VR headset now and play Trials and Tatooine on a loop.
So in theory, there is still the hallowed ground, holier than thou single player campaign out there somewhere.
Yeah, but the only real word we have on that is hushed whispers. There's nothing really.
Just release that.
If they release that, they'll definitely put a price tag on it.
Well, yeah, that's fine though. Like, I'll pay for that. Loads of Star Wars fans want an actual campaign. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other thing was potentially Rogue One DLC, if you want to have that in.
Yeah, well, I asked about this in the interview and he said nothing. Then on the stage, so we couldn't get the exclusive, he announced that there is going to be some Rogue One DLC. There's going to be Scarif, which is the beach planet where the Death Star looms overhead. And the heroes in that are Jyn and Krennic.
Nice.
So that's going to be good. They didn't really say anything else, but that's going to be released to coincide with the movie. Yeah, we also saw another trailer.
No, Bruce, they don't care. They don't care that you saw Vader,
this is gaming.
They don't care, because I've not seen Vader, so you don't care, neither do I.
Okay.
All see is exclusives and clips and bollocks.
Yeah, so they announced that. They also showed a trailer for the Death Star, which means we're finally getting space battles, although it looks to me... Well, yeah, there's battles around the Death Star, but it looks to me like it's a very limited map with the Death Star in the background. Although they did have a clip where the X-Wing goes into the trench, so maybe there'll be a trench run element.
Cool. Well, I mean, it seems like they've got some good plans in the works. Maybe eventually we'll get the game that we actually want. I'm still sitting on the cynical side, but I'm really game to see what they actually turn out for this. So that's our wrap-up of Star Wars Celebration. Please let us know in the comments what you're most excited for, whether you think EA can save Battlefront, and just what exactly Visceral's game is going to be. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com.
And I'm Alex from WhatCulture.com. Make sure you subscribe to the main What Culture channel. We've got lots of great film and other content over there.
Cheers.
Bye.